and this is directly at all you kit designers out there. If you think about the amount of designers that we've hired, I have hired more designers from their sketchbooks and their thought process than any polished, finished design.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel for our latest video. Today we are going to tackle the thorny topic of whether brands designing new kits are actually stealing ideas from the past. We have got Juventus, Everton, Dortmund, and sitting somewhat, not quite next to the other three, is Coventry City. Yep. So the reason that we've got these four is to look at how the new season kits have been influenced by kits from the past, either because it's a very traditional design which has had to be reinvented, or whether it's something that's just a brand new innovative take on a classic football shirt. So Craig, do you want to start us off with the two that you've got on your side?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think first of all, the Coventry one for me, this for me personally sails a little bit too close to the wind, really because it's actually a different brand that originated this design. It was actually Admiral back in the 70s or 80s or whenever it was. Obviously they did the Coventry kit in that particular style, but to be fair to Hummel, I think they've interpreted it in a fairly decent way, and I like the fact that they've got In Our Coventry Home, which is one of the songs to sing, obviously, but what's really interesting is you get really close into it. It's all the different city, parts of the city, if you like, that have been mapped in, and that's then being echoed down what was that Admiral traditional stripe. Personally, I still think it would have been a great shirt if they'd have just kind of stayed away from that, because I think there's certain kits that are so iconic that it just feels a little bit... They'll never
be as good.
Yeah, it just feels a bit off for us. But they've done a great execution of the crest. The Hummel logo is really good. There's some nice details in it. But for me, sorry Coventry fans, but that's sailing a little bit too close to the wind for my liking. On the contrary, what I do like, we talk about design and innovation all the time. I'm always going to come from an innovation perspective as opposed to, you know, flashy graphics over a basic polyester t-shirt. I don't mind that, don't get me wrong, but when I do get really excited is when I see new fabrications or bonded fabrics or new necklines. And, you know, we've talked about the Ultra Weave from Puma. Sadly, they're going to drop this, but this is the sort of thing that I would encourage any of you kit designers out there to really start thinking about the techniques of how you put the garments together, the fabrics that you're using, how you're going to finish little, you know, details off like the cuffs, even darts into things. So for me, that's a really good example of something that I'd like to see from designers going forward. So over to you, Rob, what are you thinking?
So here we've got an Everton shirt from last season, which is inspired from the very early days of Everton when they were first called Everton. So originally St Domingos, they had a stripy shirt. They changed the team name to Everton to represent the area of Liverpool that they were in. They dyed the shirts black to save a bit of money. Might be something that we'll see them doing next season potentially. It remains to be seen. When the shirts were initially first black back in the 1800s, a lot of the supporters and the players were saying that it felt too morbid playing in all black. So the following season, the sash was put through it, albeit in red, which is obviously now synonymous with city rivals Liverpool. So when Hummel have gone back in and looked to recreate this, they've taken something that's a bit of a crossover between a red and the salmon pink that's a bit more traditional for Everton in more recent times, and given us something that's a bit more like a smoked salmon colour. So this was really popular with the Everton fans. I was actually lucky enough to be shown a version of this shirt at prototype stage, which was entirely black. Ooh, rather than having nice. The contrast stripe on. So everything on it was black. It was absolutely gorgeous. But potentially because of the original story from the 1800s of the morbidity of it all, it ended up showing up with the sash across there. And then the last one for us to talk about today is Juventus, where as a team with huge tradition and wearing the black and white stripes, something that's dear to your heart, Craig, is we know that it can be really difficult to work with. There's only so much you can do. As much as we've seen Crystal Palace have a really amazing play on their stripes this season, For a club like Juventus, it would feel like, to me at least, a bridge too far, as opposed to being able to do something that still feels familiar and within the kind of the feeling of the club. So from a distance, that would look like a traditional black and white striped shirt, but they've broken it up into these little triangles, which kind of works well with this electrified Jeep logo that's on the front. So works really well together and just breathes new life into a classic design. So I'm quite fond of that for the season.
I mean, I think that's a cracking kit, actually, just in general. What I would say is, between the three of them, and this is my advice to any kit designer out there, when you've got a sash like that, or you've got a stripe like that, or as in this case, the Coventry design, there's so much rich history between all of these teams, any team, so much provenance, so much things that you can talk about. So my argument would be, okay, you can put the red sash through it, but you can go deeper than that. You can, you can jacquard things into it with the technology that's out there today. There could be a deboss, an emboss, there could be a jacquard, there could be holes through it, it could be mapped, as we've seen in some of the Nike Barcelona kits. So there's so much more that can be done with some of the kits, and I think that's what I'd love to see from the kit community and the kit designers out there, is take your ideas, but just go that level down and down again and down again. We saw it in the French kit in the World Cup, where they'd kind of taken an idea that dropped down like 3 or 4 levels. And it's that research that I'm always looking for that makes kits just blow our minds. And I think that's what the kit designers out there could be doing, is just go deeper and deeper and deeper, and then hopefully we'll have some absolutely amazing kits going forward.
Yeah, it doesn't cost anything extra unless they're adding in hundreds of colours. It doesn't cost any more to just have that extra insight and thought into what makes up the graphic.
And actually, Rob, one last thing that I would add to that is, if you think about the amount of designers that we've hired over the years, and this is directly at all you kit designers out there, I have hired more designers from their sketchbooks and their thought process than any polished, finished design. Seeing the finished design is one thing, but what I'm looking for as an employer, and it'll be the same for Nike, Adidas, Hummel, Puma, all of those creative directors that run those businesses, they will be thinking and asking for you, what is the thought process that's gone into that design work? So you've got to show that. It's no good just showing the end product. We want to see that thought process that's gone into every single detail that goes into your beautiful kits.
There are loads of good graphic designers out there, but there's very few that can just provide that level of insight that's a beautiful graphic and it takes people by surprise.
Yeah.
That's where that's what really cuts out the elite from the masses.
That's what brings the magic.
Exactly. So do you agree? Have you seen any shirts this season or over the last couple of years which have got that attention to detail built into what would be a traditional kit, but has got something in there that really takes you by surprise and shows that the brand truly understands the club?
Yeah.
Or do you think that brands are generally being a little bit lazy towards how they're approaching graphics and how they're approaching design in general by just looking back into the archives and reinventing?
Yeah.
We'd love to know in the comments. We look forward to seeing those. We'll reply to as many as we can. If you could like and subscribe, that would be amazing. But until we see you again, keep well and keep buying football shirts from Subside Sports.